This is a video describing how real love operates. It's not just earning someone's attraction, it's a mutual attraction. Oftentimes, people will miss out on their true love because they are looking too much at themselves rather than the person that is their love interest, in terms of behavior, psychology associated with the behavior, especially who they end up being friends or partners with. The list goes on like that, you're comparing their personal life to your own personal life. And if they have a mutual attraction with you, as I stated, to be a true love interest, then they're doing the exact same thing. They're watching you from a distance as well. And despite that they're living their life as they are, they're wondering why you're living your life as you are, because they're looking also too much inwardly to relate to how you are behaving outwardly. So you're both doing that at the same time. And the best way around that is to accept yourself for who you are. Just don't apologize for what you've done. If you haven't hurt them, don't apologize. But perhaps have a level of sympathy for the other person, because they are going through what you went through until you realized this. And there's no real way to explain it to them. It's an emotional connection. You need to give them the time and space to figure that out as well. You can't force it on them. It's sort of like the examples from, say, a movie like Aladdin or Bruce Almighty. They have a person in their life that they love very deeply, but they can't use their power to make the other person love them. That's sort of what it takes to earn someone's love, but they love you already. You just need to give them the time and space to realize that. And once they do, they will realize what they've missed out on. The same as you. You will have realized what you missed out on because you weren't being forward enough with yourself. And the same concept goes both ways. It's completely mutual. It's completely mutual. That's the power of love, is a mutual connection. And the very intense part of that connection is that you need to be literally compatible with one another. You can't have any discrepancies in the way you operate your life Otherwise, it's not a clear path forward. And if you don't have a clear path forward, you're going to run into trials and adversities along the way, and the relationship is going to become less authentic. And if you allow the relationship to become less authentic, then it's not a mutual connection between the two of you. There's one side who's more the aggressor, and the other side who is more of the victim mentality, so to speak. And I'm not demonizing the victim mentality here. I'm just saying, it's kind of a master slave relationship between one or the other. So if you want to break those bonds, you need to have a mutually compatible lifestyle. Otherwise, everything's going to come crashing down. There's only so many examples I can think of to give of that. But the main point of this video is to realize the part within yourself that you are looking at rather than the part within themselves. But the funny thing, like funny might not be the exact word here, but the interesting thing about that piece of yourself that you're looking into, that's the part of yourself that they're wondering about, and that part within themselves that you're not looking into is what they're wondering if you're wondering about. So it's kind of cute in a way. And by cute, I mean the actual definition of cuteness, in terms of how we psychologically perceive that which is cute. We don't actually recognize what we're seeing, and our mind is offset somehow, and we perceive that as cuteness, right? And so the cuteness factor of mirroring yourselves to try to attract yourselves to each other is sort of a cute concept, because how do I put this? It's sort of an unrecognizability that you still have this seeming attraction for, right? And the only way to get around that is, either jump on it when the time comes, which is a relatively difficult task. You can't necessarily just say what you need to at the time, because you might be too nervous, or you might be too self-conscious or something like that, and it's not your problem per se. It's not your fault necessarily. It's just didn't end up being the right time at the right place, you know? And so if you miss that window of opportunity, that small little window of opportunity, then you've got to give it time. You've got to give it space. And you've got to let the person know how you feel by essentially those moments of your absence. You can't connect with them any other way, so to speak, you know? And so, you know, just you will inevitably become closer either way. It's just how long will it take until you realize that it's yourselves getting in the way of yourselves to get to each other. This is an important question to ask because, you know, you don't necessarily have a long life, you know, like opportunities can be missed, you know. If you look at my never leave a task undone video, I go into this in a bit of detail. Is, you know, like if you put something off endlessly that is a responsibility for yourself, somebody else is going to pick it up and take care of it without you. And this goes the same for love. You know, if you allow yourself to miss that window of opportunity enough times, then eventually that window will be closed. You know, that it'll be boarded up, it'll be cemented over, it'll just be over at that point, you know, like, excuse me. It's because of, you know, the expression from the Bible that Jesus stated, you know, love is patient, right? But it also says in the Bible, God is slow to anger. And what is God? God is love, right? In that aspect, you know, and so, you know, it's sort of like a dwindling of patience. You know, it's not necessarily to lead to anger, but to lead to enough frustration that you just give it up. You know, like, you know, or it could lead even worse into anger and then spite and then complete and total isolation from that ever having happened, you know, like, in either case, it's a heartbreak waiting to happen, you know, and you don't want to miss out on that window of opportunity. It only comes around so often. But part of being ready to take that leap through the window is accepting that you are in the way of yourself when it comes to loving them. You know, you're not allowing yourself to love them the way that you should. You should love them for who they are, not for who you see them to be. And if you can't do that, you don't deserve them. If you can't give them themselves and still love them the same way you always felt you'd do, then it's inauthentic. There's no other way to put it. You know, you just don't deserve that person. You know, there's you know, like, what could I use for an example? You know, like are you only attracted to them because they're attractive, or like do you like really know what their personality is like based on how long you've been around them and like what you've seen them doing and who else they know and everything like that? You know, like do you really understand their personality, or do you just think you do? You know, and if you can look past those types of things, you know, then it's more authentic. Then it's actual authentic love that you have for them. If you can look past all of your perceived mistakes that they've made, then it allows both of you, having done that, to actually bond and become closer together and have healthy communication and a healthy love life in terms of, you know, like also who else you see and things like that, because you need to have a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship involves giving each other time and space always. You know, like, sometimes they might need to go somewhere without you. Sometimes they might need to see someone when you're not around, you know, and if you allow too much jealousy to take place in the relationship, then it's going to crumble into pieces and be utterly destroyed, stomped to dust. And nobody wants to see that. So the best way to avoid jealousy is to avoid perceiving what they are doing as a mistake. It's literally as simple as that. Like, you know, there's right and wrong, you know, so to say they can do no wrong in your eyes is sort of a different story. That's where you get into crimes of passion and things like that, right? Like, but, you know, just on a relative scale of things, like jealousy, like, it's to look past the things you think of them and look at how they think of themselves. And that needs to be mutual. That needs to be mutually respected between the both of you. If it can't be, then you'll notice it in signs like unhealthy communication, in signs like becoming jealous, in signs like feeling left out. You know, like, and the unhealthy communication being a factor in feeling left out because you know that you can't communicate that with them properly. And so, you know, if you don't want it to fall apart, look past yourselves and look at them